and with joy shall never die. I'll fly away. I invite the congregation to be seated as we honor a veteran of our nation's armed forces.
We have assembled here to pay our last tributes of respect to our departed brother, Donald Stoddard. For those of you unfamiliar with who we are the Kent County Veterans Honor Guard. We're volunteers, veterans of all service branches, and true to the words of William Shakespeare, we few, we happy few, we band of brothers. We're united in the belief that every one of our honorably discharged brothers and sisters shall have a military service if so desired. The service is a traditional one. There'll be a eulogy, there'll be a prayer by our chaplain. There'll be 3 rifle volleys. The first volley honors Don's birth. The second volley honors Don's military service. The third volley honors Don's passing. Then there'll be taps. For those of you that have served in the military, you know tap signifies the end of the day, the end of the workday. For Don, his work in this life is complete. When the call of our country was heard, Don answered. Self was forgotten in the cause of greater good. As a brave man, he marched away with an abiding faith in his God, his country, and his flag. The red of our country's flag was made redder still by his heroism. The white, more stainlessly pure by the motives which impelled him. And in the starry field of our nation's glorious banner, the blue has been glorified by the service he has given for American ideals. The chaplain will now give the divine blessing.
Let us pray. Almighty and merciful God, Father of all, in the depths of our sorrow, we realize the truth of the inspired words. I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet he shall live. As comrade after comrade departs, we march on with the ranks grown thinner.
Amen. Don was a veteran of the Second World War. There were 16 million Americans in uniform at that time. They are a generation that survived the Great Depression. They defeated the Nazis, fascists, and imperialists. After the war, they came home to build the America we know today. Tom Brokaw, someone I rarely agree with, once referred to them as the greatest generation. He's right. They are the greatest generation. The Second World War ended 71 years ago, and every day we are being called upon to fulfill the sad duties of respect to our departed brothers. The present, full of the cares that beset all nations, whether engaged in war or peace, fades away as we look back on the day Don left his home to defend his country. Imbued by a spirit of devotion and inspired by an undying love of his native land, he gladly went forth and joined with comrades both young and old to help preserve our heritage of freedom. We trust that the example set by Don will prove a beacon to the youth of our country, who also may be called upon to uphold the honor of our flag. As the years roll on, we too shall have finished our fight, shall be laid to rest, and our souls follow the long column to the realms above, as in all enfolding death, hour by hour, shall mark his recruits. Let us so live that when the keeper of the eternal records calls our name for the final time, those we leave behind may say of us, as we now say of Don, symbolically, here lies all that is mortal of a true-hearted comrade and a fearless defender of his country and his flag. The next part of our service will be the rifle volleys and taps. The rifles may be loud. During the sounding of taps, the honor guard will render a military salute as a final tribute to Don. If those of you in attendance also wish to honor him, you may do so by rendering the civilian salute. The civilian salute is performed by rising, if you are able. Place the right hand over the heart. This is during the sounding of taps. Any veterans in attendance have been authorized by an act of Congress to render a military hand salute during the sounding of taps.